Babs, you just got the green light.
What's up, y'all? This is Off Trend, and we are live again. Now, on a serious note, like we get on this podcast and we joke a lot and we talk about a lot of different things. But tonight we have a real topic of conversation. Okay, most of us are from Tulsa or have lived in Tulsa at some point of our life, and we are aware of the events that took place this past weekend for Juneteenth on Black Wall Street. So that's the topic of conversation tonight. So we're going to kick it off and we're going to get everyone's opinion about what happened. And then we're going to dive into the discussion. We are live on Facebook. I am monitoring the comments. So we will be taking some questions and comments from the audience. We want everybody's opinion on this. Okay?
Right.
Let's get into it.
Yes, sir, man. First and foremost, man, how everybody doing this blessed evening? This magical Monday.
Yes, I'm fresh off a workout, looking a mess.
Yes.
Today was a good Monday.
We get done with this. That's what I'm going tonight. Going to the gym. I'm going through my what I like to do at least once a week is my motivational Monday days where I don't smoke or drink as much. I try to drink a little more water, exercise, and try to prepare myself for the week. Hey, so like she said, man, on a serious note, man, we got a lot of stuff. So when I talk to a lot of people from around the world, man, and when I try to talk to them, I say I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, the original Black Wall Street. I'm from the Black Mecca of the United States, and I just wish that the people who live there really felt that way, like I feel that way. Because if they really felt that way, they wouldn't allow certain things to happen in our city. Man, how do y'all feel about what's going on, man? Been lately, man. The Juneteenth was ruined to me. It was ruined.
Yeah. It was a hot mess. So I'm just going to kick it off because we was just down there recently for the Black Wall Street rally, the biker rally. Mm-hmm. And they had over 20,000 people that came from out of town. And my whole thought process, one, I get anxiety when it comes to like large crowds and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when we got there and we were walking in, I'm like, oh, they have police presence at the front. I'm like, they probably got metal detectors or whatever. They're probably checking people going in. But when we went in, they wasn't checking anybody, checking anything. And I'm like, okay. So that kind of made me a little nervous, on edge a little bit, because anybody could be out here with anything. But I can honestly say that nothing happened that weekend. Like, it was thousands of people down there on Black Wall Street. Shelly was there.
And we had a time.
Right. We had a good time. We really and truly enjoyed ourselves. Everybody turned up. There was no problem. There wasn't any drama or anything like that. And also not only that, like, Tulsa was getting recognition for Black Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they should be recognized for. And that's like a huge thing. So now Tulsa is getting on the map in a good light. Then fast forward, we have Juneteenth. And every night of Juneteenth, they down there acting a fool, which is crazy. So it's now like the Black Wall Street rally that was a success is getting overshadowed by all of this shit that happened this past weekend. That's first and foremost. Secondly, I feel like Tulsa PD could have definitely done a better job of preventing that, because they have barricades on Greenwood. So it's not like people can come in from all sides. You come in from one end and next end. They could have easily put up metal detectors. They could have put different measurements in place to make sure that those people were down there was a little bit more safer. Because I've been to a ton of events outside in different places. And if they wanted to, they could have. So I also blame them. And it was kids down there, older folks. Like, when you have something going on like this, like, TPD should have been prepared.
Well, I have to give a little bit of pushback just on the TPD, just because from a perspective, like with the border, we can do more for the border and there'll be less Mexicans coming in. But they're still going to find ways to do so. What I've learned with criminals or with people who have criminal intentions regardless, no matter what you do, have cameras, burglar bars.
You're right about that, but you still put those measurements in place and you minimize the risk of something like that happening.
No.
Because a lot of times, if they see that, they're not going to walk in through the metal detector with a gun if they see a metal detector right there. If they see police at the entrance, so it's not saying it's going to prevent it altogether, but you minimize the risk when you put those things in place. They could have done something.
You do understand why they build more prisons.
Yeah, you might minimize it, but it's still gonna happen.
They build
like
more
those
prisons
few
for
shootings
that.
that we did have. That's the minimalization of what's happened, because it could have been far worse than that. It could have been
honestly,
far worse.
I feel like they really didn't care, to be honest. Like, that's my opinion. I feel like they really didn't care. Because even after the first night and that stuff happened, the second night, they knew that it was still going on. Why didn't y'all show up a little bit more? Why didn't y'all try to do something to prevent it from happening?
I'd like to propose this question to y'all. Do you feel like it's a problem within our community is the reason why we're destroying ourselves? It's the youth.
What you think, Don? I really want to hear your perspective on this.
Yes.
I mean, everything starts up top with the parenting. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
If the parents, and you made a post the other day, right? And you alluded to, their parents, sharing negative shit, man. You got women talking about and all that, acting like game bangers on Facebook, and so this is what they're looking up to. This is what they're looking up to. Like, I've been trying to think, for a while, especially, the last couple of days, like what measures can be taken.
Right.
But at the same time, at what age do we get a hold of the kids? 16, 17 years old.
Too late.
They got their damn mind made up.
Too late. Mr. Dog Walker, I was telling somebody just the other day, we need to start with the children between first grade to like third grade, fourth graders. Because once they get to like 7th, 8th grade, they're already starting to smell themselves and go into different directions. As well, they've already been lasted in their trauma for so long. A lot of those kids will come from trauma-filled households. So by the time you get to 10 years of non-stop trauma and PTSD, it's almost too late.
Right. It's definitely too late.
It's too late.
But so I wouldn't say it's never. I wouldn't say too late, because you can get a hold of a kid and help shape him and turn his life around. But with the music, with social media, with the clout chasing, that's really what it's all about now. It's everybody chasing clout. They got their phones out. You will see if something goes on in Tulsa that's negative, it's going to be a topic of social media. That's all you're going to see on your timeline. If something positive, somebody do something positive, you ain't going to see shit.
And that's why I say Tulsa's a little slow and it's a little backwards. Because I live in the bigger city of Dallas. Even though Dallas still has this gang violence, there's still a large group of pockets of like successful black communities or areas where the black people are thriving. You go to Tulsa, even in the nice neighborhoods was supposed to be nice. The Gilchrist Hills was supposed to be a black, nice suburb. It's the hood. The places that we feel like are safe in Tulsa aren't safe no more. And it's not progressing. The city itself is progressing, money-wise, infrastructure-wise. They're progressing, but the culture inside the city is not progressing.
No, it's not. The mindsets is all fucked up, man. They wanna tear you down. They don't want to build you up. They want to tear you down. If you're doing good, you're a bitch ass nigga. If you're trying to help somebody, you're a bitch ass nigga. That's their mindset. It's sad.
It's sad because look, I see the black people like a hand, and the black people are sticking out like a sore thumb. But the rest of the people are the ones who are maintaining, taking care of their families and trying to move forward. But the ones who stick out like a sore thumb make up the mass majority of the martyrs in the world, make up most of the mass majority of the violence, the violent crimes in America, and we can't overlook that. And now, like I said, I put on Facebook the other day as well, saying, "Hey man, I'm happy that Black people are really starting to wake up and look at ourselves and say, hey, we've not only created a violent culture, we're starting to perpetuate a violent culture, and we need to put a stop to this." And man, it's becoming a wave, because 15 years ago, you didn't have a group of people talking about, hey, let's stop the violence all the time. It might have a here and there. Now there's a lot of Black people coming out saying, hey, chill out.
But I think just like what both of y'all are saying, like it starts at the home. Like it starts within the home. Like parents need to do a better job of parenting their children and not allowing them to continue to make the same mistakes. We know kids are going to act out because just like you said, they get a certain age, they start feeling themselves, they are going to act out. But you have to correct that, and you can't stop correcting it. You can't say, oh, well, they're too far gone or they're too old. You have to continue to correct that behavior every single time it happens to let that kid know you're not going for that. Like, this is not the life that you are going to live. I don't care how old you are or how many times you think that you're going to do this. No, you have to correct them every single time. And sometimes you might have to take a little bit more measurements than before if what happened before is not working. I know back in the day they had the show Scared Straight. Do they still do Scared Straight anymore? Like they have police that used to come to the schools and talk to the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a lot of different things that they.
I just said there's a different generation. Like these kids ain't scared of nothing. They really not. And like jail, they don't care. They go do them bids and go get money. Or go run up that they don't care. I mean, being away from women, half of them doing it, it's so much going on. So nobody cares. The stuff that you think would motivate them to do differently, it doesn't. And like, as a person who's worked with the youth, it's like they're more focused on impressing their peers than their parents.
Right.
So you can say raising, and you can raise your kid, and you can put this in there. That's why how they say preacher kids the worst kid, or whatever. Like it's a thing where, like they said, it's a point where kids make a choice, and you can be strict or you can type for under your roof, but then you're looking at the kids that run away and go somewhere else because if they can't do it under here, right? Then now they want to go and run off and go be with their friends or go be at wherever, the youth hang out.
The problem we got in Tulsa, and I'm from North Tulsa, we have adults who are in their 30s and 40s who think it's cool to live out north and allow their kids to live out north in the hood and go through hood shit because they want to be cool and still be seen as young and gang member at the club every week. We still have a fucked up toxic parenting that's going on in Tulsa right now. Oh, I want to live out north. You ain't from the north side. No, the best way the best way to change, if your child is going down the wrong path, the best way to do is change his environment. Change his environment all the way around. Flip his environment upside down. I'm telling you, if you got to go from one town to the next to get your baby out of the bullshit, that's just what you got to do. I heard Ray talk about it plenty of times. Hey man, I'm getting my son from over there. We're finna change that environment and change because it's your environment where it comes.
I get that, and I understand that concept as far as like taking them out the environment. But sometimes if you it's like a crack addict, right? If I take you from over here and we move to a different city, you're gonna find a new place to buy crack.
But that's a crackhead. Crackhead ain't gonna never stop smoking.
But
crack.
A person like kids, like some kids, like
they are addicted
activities. They just like that. They like to, like that type of that. They want to be hard. They want to be seen. So they're gonna find somewhere to be hard. And if you take them to a different environment, I've seen kids like that go start stuff there. You could take them to a suburban place, and they ain't got nothing to do, then they become the trouble.
Then you do what my auntie did. My cousin Marcel was having so much problem in school. She sent his ass to Thunderbird. And Thunderbird is a military school program in Tulsa, Oklahoma. When you can't act right, they will get you right. And until this day, my cousin ain't never been to prison. Ain't got a felony on his name. Scared his ass all the way straight.
Right. I'm gonna read a couple of comments from the chat. They got a couple of people in here tuned in. So Ryan Bell, he said, I've had other races empathize with the situation because they were confused that we let that happen in what other cultures deem Greenwood area as our prized possession. Then we got Ken Sayark. He says the parents can't help the kids with their trauma because they have their own trauma that hasn't.
As a 30-something old man, y'all hear me talk about this all the time, getting therapy. If you still in your 30s and you ain't seek therapy, your trauma is your motherfucking problem.
But that's another thing. Like, I think that we need to normalize people getting help a lot more often.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? I think we need to normalize people learning how to deal with their traumas, because some people are not equipped to deal with the things that certain people have been through. They need professional help. So if you're not willing to get help for yourself, of course you're not going to be willing to help your child. So that just goes back to starting in the house.
To me, you can't perpetuate your trauma. You can't perpetuate your trauma, then say my trauma is my trauma. A lot of people are living within their trauma and not trying to change their trauma in Tulsa. And I just be real. Most of the people in Tulsa grew up in fucked up parents and fucked up households, and they still living under that same culture, under that same rules. And man, I heard a 40-year-old dude tell an 18-year-old kid don't snitch. That pissed me off.
I hear you, Jay Nitty. I do. You know, it starts in the home, but I still feel like even with my own child, you know what I'm saying, I've raised him the right way, but if he makes decisions, he's going to make those decisions regardless of what community he's raised in, regardless of how I raised him, regardless if he had a good life or not. I know hella niggas that had the best lives ever and they still ended up in the streets. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes. And I think with the culture, it is a problem with the culture because it starts, like I always say, with social media. The reason that we were a little bit different is because we didn't have so much access to social media and we weren't able to see as much violence and naked girls shaking their ass and shit like that. Like, the thing, like y'all say, the only reason I say it do start with the parents, because like one thing one of my partners did say on the internet, like the adults was downtown acting the fool too. Y'all twerking on cars, y'all got Don Julio bottles on top of your head. Like, everything starts with the culture on how you raise yourself, because these kids are seeing everything that y'all think they not seeing. You feel me? They gonna find some way to see it, regardless. Just like you can tell your kid, oh, don't be on none of them apps. Don't be on Facebook. Don't be on TikTok. Don't be on Snap. They might delete it off their phone, but when they get around their friends, they can say, hey, bro, make me a little burner account. You feel me? So it's so many ways for your kid to get caught up in the system and get caught up in the violent culture. But it do start with us because, like, the old people did migrate the gang culture from LA to Tulsa.
Yeah.
And then those same old people, like my partner was saying, they chose, okay, I got old now, I'm gonna go get me a job. I'm gonna settle down, but they left them kids to the streets to figure it out. That's why they know OGs no more.
Circle. We all represent the gang that was started by some fucking teenagers with poor education in California. It's childish shit.
But I think it also started with the culture, bro. Like the culture, even before gangs, like the culture of how black people think. How just like this, bro. Let me give you an example. Everybody like TPD, right? How can you expect TPD to help you if you ain't helping TPD?
Hey, everybody acting like they ain't saw nothing. Everybody don't nobody want to come forward and say they know the shooter. Hey, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Fuck how y'all used to see me in the world, man. Thugging, all that shit. I got children to raise. I got a family, my nigga. Hey, if I see somebody kill somebody in front of me, a young brother, I had nothing to do with the police. Asked me, did I see something? I saw something. And I'm sorry that y'all feel a little way about people telling the truth. As a matter of fact, there's a pastor in Tulsa, and I don't want to say his name. But this man talking about no snitching too. He talking about gang shit every once in a while on his page too. Then every other week he want to talk about Christian values and morals, his wife. There's no black household that was not raised to snitch. Every one of us was raised by our grandparents and our parents. You better tell somebody. You better open your mouth. You better say something. Now we don't let these childish ass 15-year-olds in California in the 70s make up some fucking rules. Now we all live by that shit.
Crazy. Like, it's 2025. If you still in the game, that shit is so whack to me. Like, at the end of the day, they just say that you are a follower. Why would you want to follow somebody else that's making bad decisions? Why would you want to allow somebody else to make bad decisions for you and ruin your life? Like, that just goes to show that you can't think for yourself. You can't stand on your own. You need somebody else to lead you all the time. Like, that's just crazy. Like, gangs is played out. Like, that shit is played the fuck out. Like, what's the point of a game? What's the point? They're not coming together in a community. They're not helping the kids. They're not saving the community from the police or the white people, or so to speak, which is really what it was back in the day. It was racists that was coming together and defending their own neighborhoods. Like, they're not doing that no more. Now they're making it about...
Make an argument that shit was never for the community. Only one I say start off was for the community was Larry Hoover when he started with that GD shit. But that became and evolved into something that spiraled out of control. I don't think any gang or anything like that is any benefit to anybody's community.
In your opinion, we'll start with Don, then we'll go to Shelly, because Shelly been waiting. I see she waiting. So we'll start. Okay, so if you had to speak on a podium and somebody asked you, what would be your first solution, what would it be?
First solution, it would have to be just like we just discussed earlier. We have to start with them kids and in middle school. You know, that's in middle school. That's when they start making very poor choices. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was at the middle school. You know, like someone has said something about Thunderbird. You know, start sending kids. I don't know what type of programs they have, but like the Scared Straight program. You know, you got to put fear in them. But what's her name? Shell. You know, they're not scared.
That's what they really want. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. What them kids really need is somebody that cares about them. Right. What I hear from the youth, they really need to, and you can't indicate they're looking for love in all the wrong places. And it can't be faked. It can't be duplicated. Like, you genuinely have to care, and they know, and they hold you accountable for that. You see what I'm saying? And these kids are not allowing hypocrisy. We was raised under hypocrisy. It was do as I say, not as I do. These kids saying, well, shit, you not doing what you saying. You see what I'm saying? So why I got to do it? Why? And so and if you ain't got no reason, it's a wrap. And so like they're increasingly questioning, authority. And so in those places, in order for them to trust that what you are saying to them is the right way, the right path, or valid, or them having some type of, care, you have to show them that you care about them. And unless they believe that you truly are there, and it's not, because some kids, even you could be a parent, right? But some kids, they can't talk or tell their parent everything. You know what I mean? It's some stuff your kid could tell you as much as you say. Now, I ain't gonna say nothing that's gonna make you just own them, right? But it's stuff that they could tell you that's gonna piss you off. You know what I mean? And like, they know that, right? And like, they really, they don't want to disappoint their parents per se. Even though they do things that do that, they don't want to disappoint you. They don't want to tell you. They don't want you to know or find out. So they're not going to talk to you about certain things. So that's why we need to bring back, Black male mentors into the community. And like you said, around that middle school age, when they get into 5th, 6th grade, where they feeling the pressure of, beating their chest or having to, man up in a sense. And for us, those are babies, right? But for them, coming into that age, they are.
Like you say, community, like programs and stuff. Like, one thing that helped me. One thing that helped me growing up when I was in high school was, and I lost my best friend to a triple homicide. You know what I'm saying? When I was 16 years old, so that could have deterred me way to a whole nother factor of life. You feel me? So But Upward Bound was a program that I was in as a kid. You know what I'm saying? You went to college during the summertime, and at the end of the summer, they would take you on a nice trip somewhere. They let you see the world, you know, see this other stuff out there. And that program helped me a lot. And I don't see it. I mean, it still is programs. Don't get it twisted, because I don't want everybody to say like, oh, this is nobody trying to help these kids. It is programs. But the parents got to be willing to put their kids in these programs, and the kids got to be willing to stay in the programs. It's just like trying to send a person to rehab. If a person ain't willing to go to rehab, you can't fix the problem.
So the programs have to be affordable. They have to be affordable for the kids, right?
Man, look,
and then they have to be advertised more to the community. Like when you have programs that you're offering and you're saying that you're helping the community, you can't gatekeep these programs. They can't be, you know, like only so many people, you know about these programs. This is not something that's publicized. There's no commercials. There's not anything running. And yes, we do need those programs for the kids. Like you said, that type of upper band.
No, so right now we got to understand a lot of, like, so I was Upward Bound for 3 years as well. We went to RSU. I don't know if you went to Roger State University too.
Yeah, I went to Roger State, bro.
Yeah, I went there for 3 years as well too, bro. So it gave me an outside look. But a lot of those programs are not state funded. A lot of those programs are independently funded, and that's the problem.
Hold on, because I heard recently in Tulsa they're not going to continue the Job Corps.
That's like, everywhere. They took the funding. He took the funding out of all the programs.
Because back in the day, that was something that like a lot of people went to. So now they're taking away. That's what I'm saying. Like,
he's taking away everything. But this is the thing right here. What you don't understand is when you take away everything that they did have, because you had some people that were, of course, utilizing these resources, right? While you do have those who just gonna go and do what they're gonna do. That's anytime that you have, you know, program structure is optional, right? So you're gonna have those who gonna take advantage of it, those who not. But when you take it away, now those who will take advantage of it are forced into a category of those who not, because they got to survive. You can't place people into survival mode and don't.
That's the thing, because I want to touch on what you just said, survival mode. Most people are bringing kids into the world straight into poverty. You coming into the world into poverty. As soon as you're born,
like I brought it up to a lot of my friends, they didn't like it. But fuck Job Corps. Job Corps was an escape for a lot of parents who had bad kids that they didn't know what to do with. Then they shipped them off to Job Corps, and they was running them up at Job Corps.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. No, I'm gonna say this right here. I went to Job Corps. I did. No, you listen. It depends upon what you utilize and what you do in there,
and
right?
Kids, look.
I don't know what they
that little money that they was getting every week, going right back to North Tulsa, buying some weed, acting a fool, bringing that shit right back to Job Corps.
I wasn't there long
enough. But just because it doesn't help every single body doesn't mean it
don't have to help.
Like saying college don't help people because everybody.
No.
Yeah, listen, hold on, because everybody that goes to college.
No, let's be real. Job Corps. I live down the street from Job Corps. I live off of Pine and Yale.
But you live down the street from one of how many Job Corps is there in the world?
Kids were unruly kids that their parents couldn't deal with, and they sit there.
Here, CJ Nitty, this is the problem right here. See, you talking about the kids that go to Job Corps and they leave Job Corps and they go buy drugs, right? When they get their check, right?
Somebody just come in.
No, hold on. That's what you're saying. When they go get their check, they go buy drugs. What is the parents doing when they go get their check? We going to buy liquor. We going to buy drugs.
But this is what I'm saying, though. I love the intention of Job Corps. I love the purpose of what Job Corps created. But let's look at the reality of what Job Corps did. If they took the money from Job Corps and passed it throughout the Tulsa public schools on the north side and just gave schools programs, after school programs, it would help a lot better than regular Job Corps because only a select few of kids go to Job Corps in the first place. It costs the city millions and millions of dollars a year to keep Job Corps going. When they can just say, hey, we're going to open up after-school mentorships at Central, at Booker T, at McLean.
But that's already
it's already money out there for it. The problem is we don't have volunteers. Where are the black men stepping up? You want to replace it, but
But that's already at every school, though. Those opportunities are already at every school.
No, they're not.
You
They're
crazy if it's
I
not,
think
bro.
another issue is the lack of leadership. The lack of leadership in these communities. They looking up to the wrong people. We need more positive leadership. We need more of our successful black men
But that's what
To step up to the plate and be
and
mentors for these kids.
right. Speak to these
But
kids.
the parents are the problem, y'all not hearing me. Listen, we the
We
problem.
keep going back to the parents. We already know that.
We are the
We
problem.
can, well,
Because what are
listen.
we so worried about? We worried about if Cardi B did this with Offset. We worried about the bullshit that we shouldn't even be worried about.
I think it's a whole
But I'm saying,
plethora of
if we
problems.
are the
I don't think
problem,
it's one in particular thing. We can't just say, "Oh, it's just."
Shelly, what do you think your solution is to fixing the culture?
my solution is similar to him stating that we need to start with the kids in elementary and middle school. And the reason why is because some of these kids don't have fathers in the household. Some of them don't have positive male role models. So if we begin young with them entering into these programs, which helps mentorship, leadership, having a positive black male role model, because I'm specifically speaking to our black boys, because that's who we're suffering right now. Our black boys, our black girls need too. You know what I'm saying? But our black boys specifically right now, they need help. And we need our black men to stand up. If you got a kid at a school, you need to adopt another one. So therefore, when I come to school to check on my son, I'm gonna check on this little boy too. I know he ain't got no daddy. You see what I'm saying? If we can get every black man to say, I'm gonna take two more sons at this school because I come check on my kids. You see what I'm saying? We can't worry about what everybody else doing, but if you're an active father, you see what I'm saying? You're a parent, you see it. There's a need while we waiting. You see what I'm saying? I see that these other little black boys don't have nobody.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be that body.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. I like that. So, Mika, what you think?
I think just based off what she said, back in the day, it take a village to raise a child. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that kind of fell off because people had a problem with the way that their child was being corrected or whatever, but you're not doing the correcting. And I feel like a lot of parents need help. Like when I first had my first daughter, I was very young. I didn't have all the answers. I barely had any answers. We basically was growing up together. So yes, I welcome help from other people who already had children, who were older, who could give me some advice, who could show me the way. You know what I'm saying? We need to bring back It Takes a Village, and people need to not be trying to get upset with somebody else because they're correcting a child. If you out in public and you see some kids out there doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, you should say something. Like even when I'm running through the neighborhood, I seen a bunch of boys. They have water guns out here and these pellet guns real bad out here in the neighborhood. And I'm driving and I'm seeing like 4 or 5 boys jumping on this one little boy. I started honking the horn and I pulled over my car and I told them to get their asses home. Like, why is y'all out here jumping on this little boy? Like, that's crazy. Like, I'm not going to sit back and just watch. I will get somebody else's kid together real fast. And we need to bring that back. Like, it takes a community. Everybody needs to step up. Just like I said, we need more positive leadership, more positive men and women to step up and help. So the first thing I would ask for is for the community to come together, and those who can and would like to be a positive role model to come forward, and let's figure out how we can reach out to these kids. What happened to, don't they still bring people to the school to speak to the kids? Nowadays, I'm seeing they bring in rappers and stuff like that. Like,
they have it too because they lack volunteers. We don't have a lot of volunteers for mentorship. Like yeah, like even like the Big Brother Big Sister program, they don't have no black male volunteers. The one locally in my area, I had requested one for my son a long time ago, and I was wondering why I never get anything back. Is I go out volunteer with them, and I realized they don't have any black male mentorship. And so, like, that's if you want to get involved in your area, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to start these boys and girls clubs. A lot of our community, go to them Boys and Girls Club. Being a volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club is a good way to impact our kids, our youth.
Yes.
You know, there's so many ways to touch them, just depending upon your schedule, your time. But you have to, you know, and like I said, they want you there. They want you genuine. They want you feeling like, I miss my kids. I got to go see them, but like I just like they know your presence. Like they genuinely, when you show up for them and you there for them and you asking about their day, those things mean the world to them. They don't have. It's just good to do. It makes our kids feel good. Some of our kids don't feel seen. Some of them just feel. It was a little boy that had AKs and stuff in all his pictures, and he was 13. You see what I'm saying? Like, killed me. And he was a handsome little boy, and he didn't feel like he was handsome because he had a little weight on him, and he wasn't even big. But see, complexes. Do you see what I'm saying? So he had a tough guy complex, and that was him. And anybody that run up on him, he 13.
Yeah. So what you think, Brody?
You see what I'm
saying? Man, just listen to what y'all was saying. I'll add on to that because I do love all three of your ideas. To me, it sounds stupid. It sounds something we've been saying it for years. Bringing back black love. When the man and the woman were happy in love in their household, kids, even though kids did act out and there were kids that did do those crimes, the crimes are so low. It wasn't black people acting out all crazy like this. When we have black families being intentional with our love, even if you are a step parent, or even if you, like you say, you go to a school and you're talking to other kids, you're like a mentor or guide. Be intentional with your love. Because right now, even though we are parents, we have a lot of parents, we love our kids, but we're not so intentional with our love no more. We're so focused on what we have going on that we don't love our children like our parents loved us. Man, I just think a lot of these kids right now are acting out because they don't have the love that they want. So I think being more intentional with our families, being more intentional with our friends, being more intentional with the people around us, and that starts with love. I think I was telling my partner the other day, because I believe in the 10 Commandments, but there's one commandment that will shatter all 10 commandments. Thou shalt love thy neighbor. Because if I love thy neighbor, I wouldn't do anything of a source to hurt my neighbor or my friend. So I think that we should bring back more love. Let's just see that me, Don Walker, and Ray, we can see each other and what's up, brother, and fellowship. Because right now, when you see it right now, you see a bunch of kids be cool, but let them see other niggas get into it. For somehow those kids gonna start getting into it. It's like a ripple effect. Everybody start joining in. If they see us doing good, other kids will want to join in and perpetuate that. I think that's what we can change, man. Love.
More positive.
I do think the more positive enforcement. I also want to say that we also, like, if you notice, like, the relationship with a young male in the household is different because they feel like we have to make them tough.
But
I
Jay
believe
Nitty, he speaks on this a lot. Jay Nitty speaks on this a lot. But I do think that children turn out better when there's a father present, or when children are raised by a father solo. That's just the stats. The stats just prove it. Like, it's. Like,
I would have to see the statistics because I know a lot of strong black women who have raised.
No, listen,
you know,
no, I'm
a lot
not
of
saying
kids,
a
so I
black woman
can't say.
Before, let's clarify that. I'm not saying a black woman can't raise a man before we even think that. But the stats say when a male is present or a male raises a kid solo, they turn out better.
Because if you look like, okay, so I have to give a foundation within this argument, and this is, I want y'all just to listen with an open mind and a clear understanding. When a man is a single father, he typically, more than not, finds one woman to be with and settles down, and he creates a family environment for that child. When it's a single mother, she tends to date and have more promiscuous, I can't say that word, tends to have more men in her life than not. when there's way more single
That man just don't bring don't bring the woman around, but he dates, and
no,
then
but
the kid.
more likely,
If the woman has custody of such said child, she's like that. She's more like your child. Let me be clear. I do believe that there's a way that you can navigate against that. I'm against bringing men around your child.
But this is
So
the
go
thing
ahead.
that I feel
but
though.
women
This is the thing
tend
that
to
I feel
have
though.
way more sexual partners than men would if they're single parents.
But this is what I think though.
I highly doubt that, but I guess
The average parent, like for instance, like if a woman is raising a kid, she does a great job, you know what I'm saying? But I think at a certain age, kids no longer fear women, which are their mothers.
Are we talking
Most
about
kids will always fear
boys or just
their
girls?
father.
You talking about girls
Most
and
kids
boys?
will always fear their fathers, regardless of the relationship. They're always going to have that certain fear.
Like, that's very true. Like, I'm not
in
even
the
gonna
back
lie.
of their mind. See, when a little girl get to a certain age or a little boy gets a certain age, they ain't hearing none of y'all talking about because they know they probably feel like they strong enough.
Hey, bro, look,
and I can absolutely agree with that.
I don't know. I'm a daddy's girl, so I don't fear my daddy.
But y'all can look it up yourselves. Y'all can look up yourselves on WebMD, not Google, but on WebMD.
Probably a little spoiled.
Children are harmed 75% more in the space of a woman than they are in the hands of a man. Because women, they tend to abuse their children on a higher scale than men do.
Well, what about the
men can just look at their kids.
When you say that, what about the men's boyfriends who done abuse?
Before we go off topic, let me speak
on what you
said real quick. Because I do agree with that. Because kids do fear their dad more. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, even with my child, her daddy can tell her to do something and she gonna do it right away. When it comes to me, I have to go back and forth with her. I have to argue with her, and I'm the one that would whoop her. But if I tell her to do something, she doesn't do it easily. But if her daddy tell her to do something, she do. So I do think that children tend to fear their dad a lot more because they see if it is the right man in place.
Because
they
it's a
fear their
rational
father because they know that their father is a stronger person and they have a stronger presence.
Because Charles White said it the best. It's a more of a rational ass whooping. And when a woman gives an ass whooping, it's more of an emotional ass whooping. Didn't I tell your motherfucking ass? A man to say, bring your ass here and hit you 1 or 2 times. Now you know what the fuck you did. A woman, sit your fucking ass down. Sit your ass down. That's how women parent their kids.
And I think men are a lot more patient. Like, men
way more patient. A child is only raised in
sometimes you have to throw. Sometimes you have to throw the cuss word in there though, because I've done the gentle parenting. The gentle parenting does not work. You can tell your child to come do something, but as soon as you add that, get your ass in there, it feels like you get some movement. You gotta let me.
I just corrected my son on screen just now, and I didn't have to yell. I looked at him and told him to sit down and give me a second.
I don't believe that you have to say a cuss word. Because you can still be aggressive without cussing. See, if our kids hear us cussing, they gonna cuss. It starts with us. That's why I say it's the parents. Like, if the parents is cussing, like, I've made mistakes. Like I told my mom the other day, I didn't have no father, right? So everything I'm doing as a father, I'm doing it on the fly. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to be a father. So everything I'm doing is on the fly. I'm trying to do the best I can. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like women, like Jay Nitty said, they're more aggressive. They talk crazy to their kids. Like,
no, I'm not talking about young kids. I'm talking about grown kids that you cussing at. Young kids,
I'm talking about any kid. I think you see the problem with our society is they don't realize this is the problem with our society. The difference between these kids and us is
my son
we were used to getting whoopings, right? So it was more of a physical parenting. You can't physical parent these kids. You have to control their mental.
Yeah.
If you don't control these kids' mental, you're not going to control them.
You want to know a good example when I mean of a
Because
women
whoopings don't
emotional
them
abuse
bother
and
them
to
none.
a child and a man's abuse, watch the show I Hate Chris. Us in hindsight, we always watch the show. It was funny, but in the hindsight, we can all agree that she was a toxic mother.
For sure.
Yeah.
She was a damaging mother. And he was the most patient, calm, most resilient of a man to be able to still keep his family together and still raise his kids. You never heard him in the show yell at his son too much. Even when his son got into it with the mother and got kicked out, he had a talk with his son. He didn't have to yell at his son. He had a talk with him. So this is what we understood as a black man. My mother used to yell at me all the time, frustrated at the world, broke, poor, uneducated, screaming at me every day. But I watched men in my life, my grandfather and other people who were gentle with me. Who, when I did something wrong, hey, Joseph, hey, come have a seat with me, let's have a talk. Let's figure out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. But that's the problem. I'm not saying black mothers are the problem, because black mothers, they do their best, and it's the black man that keeps on making single black mothers, because we need to start wearing condoms. That's just my point of view. But at the same time, when you it's too late, you do have a child, I think it's conducive to have a spouse in the house. We need to have love, man. Black families, I'm gonna say reinforce the black family, because once you do that, I think it builds more morals and stuff.
They still be hard headed. My son was raised in a 2-parent household. We didn't argue. I don't do no arguing in my house. We don't have no. It's not toxic like that. He just, as far as like for him, well, he did tell me that I didn't support his decisions enough. Cause I'm not gonna lie. If it was stupid, I would say so, and I have to work on that. If it don't make sense
See?
to me, I'm gonna tell you.
But
It don't
it's
make
good that
sense
you
to me.
it's good that you
Like
worked on
this,
that.
don't
But
do it this
that's what
way.
we're talking about. That's what
But
we're
yeah,
talking about, though. You feel me?
yeah,
Like that's what we're talking about. Like it
yeah,
started with the parenting. Like men, I
yeah.
promise you, I haven't whooped my
Hmm.
son in like 10 years. You feel me? Like I try to talk to him. I try to have conversations with him. You know, because whoopings didn't solve nothing for us. What did that solve for us? But traumatize us. That's
Mm-hmm.
all it did was traumatize you. Or you was getting whooped with an extension cord. You was getting whooped with whatever your parent could find to whoop you. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was just traumatizing. You wasn't
Yeah.
solving no problem.
That is very true. But it goes back to the root of the problem, though. Men need to start having kids with women that they plan to be with in
True,
order for them
true.
to be in the household.
So
So
Don,
if you
what
talk
would you like
about,
to say?
Oh yeah,
Because I
and
know
I
you
didn't
sit
beat
back.
my
Hold
I
on,
didn't beat
y'all.
my
Hold
child,
on, hold on,
wait a
Shirley.
minute, because
but
I
I
haven't
also
finished
didn't
that
beat my
thought. I
child.
haven't finished that thought yet. Because that's exactly
Go
what it
ahead.
is. Like, I agree that kids need to be raised in a 2-parent household. I agree that a father needs to be more present in the household. But at the same
Yes.
time, again, this goes back to our men, representation, positive
Mm-hmm.
leadership. Y'all have to
Yes.
stop having kids with just anybody and have kids with people who you intend to be with. So that kid can have a 2-parent household. Because when y'all
Mm-hmm.
go out here sticking and moving, the only person that ends up being hurt or impacted from that is the child.
Yes, and that's what I remember. We was talking about this a long time ago when I was talking about my old lady. I was like, "Yeah, I love my woman, and she loves me, but we more see this as like an obligation to our children now. It's bigger than me and her, and I wish more parents were moved more selfless than that, because man, if you're in your 30s still trying to chase your dreams, cool. But sometimes you gotta set your dreams aside so your kids can fly. And that's the problem, man. We got a lot of people who don't want to set their aspirations, dreams, or what they got going on in life to the side so their kids can be the flourishing ones. Man, and another big thing I think I want to hear your opinion on, because we're talking about programs. Do y'all think black people put our kids in sports too much? Because man, there's so many other programs and so many other things that our kids can be doing and learning. But all my friends I see online is either
Getting a
this sport,
trade,
that
you
sport, this
right. They
sport,
could be
that
doing a
sport.
trade
It's nothing
different.
really to help the mind. But look, real talk. In the black community, it costs you anywhere from 200 to 500 to put your kids in the basketball, football, or cheerleading. But if you took your kids to the chess, team, the debate team, to these other speech or other learning little programs, most of those things are free.
I think it's because a lot of parents, they looking for their child to make a way for them. And I think that's what it
I
is.
think
They
it's
want
the
them to
kid
be
interest
successful. They want
too.
them to go to the
Man,
league so
look,
that
I
they
was just talking
can
about.
make money
I
and take
think
care of
it's the I think it's the kid interest. My son plays sports, and it was never because I wanted him to go somewhere and do. He
I'm
was
not talking
good at
about
what he
you,
did,
but we're
but
saying that,
what he wanted to do.
but more
But the
parents
majority,
do put their
but
kids
look,
in
the
sports
majority of our
versus other
kids are
programs because
not
they
good in
do have a lot of
sports.
other.
Be real.
They do.
The majority of our kids are not going to make it to college playing basketball or football. Not saying yours, but the majority of our children are not. I got
Right.
two. I
They're
got
not.
twin daughters, and one
Right.
is phenomenally like athletic and can bend and do the twist and do all that shit. And she's in competition dance. Me and her mother said, "Cool, we'll split that $500 a month for her to go to competition dance." Her twin sister got two left legs. I looked my daughter in the face and said, "I think I put it online too," and said, "Bullshit. I'm not paying $250 a month for you to be jumping around like a frog on stage." No. We need to find what our kids are good at and help them excel in that. But
Right.
sometimes we got a kid who's big. He
Right.
might look like he play football, but the motherfucker can put a puzzle together in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's
And
just
I
like
concur.
Rubik's
If
cubes
your
and
kids
shit.
are not, if they're not good, then you definitely should. But my son happened to be good, and I
But
forced
a
him to
lot of people
play.
kids ain't good though. I promise you. A
All
lot
of
of
them
these
are
kids
not.
Yeah,
ain't
yeah,
shit.
like we have to like if one of the comments says it's the kids' interest, but you have to introduce them to something new. If they don't know, they just don't know. And that's very true. Like
Right.
they
Yeah.
don't
And
know
if we don't know,
about is the sports program. They don't know about
right,
the gaming programs. They don't know about the programs to learn how to be an electrician or to learn how to be
right,
different things. Like we need more of those programs. They needed to be advertised a lot more. You know, come to the school and talk to the kids about it, like the Army used to do back in the day. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like they send people out there to the school to recruit the kids and to get them to want to sign up once they graduate. They can do the same thing for the other programs and let the kids know what's available and give them an idea, show them what
yeah.
it is
That goes
because
back to what
they
I
don't
was
know
saying
what
about
it is.
education.
Right.
Yep.
Then they're not going to be interested
Pushing
in
the
it. Like you
education,
have to know
advertising the programs. Because see, as a young mom, see, right now we can have this conversation, right? At 42, but I was 19, 20 when I had my son, right? So, like, as a young mom, we don't know what's out there, what was available, how it is. We navigate until you are made aware of the resources, which is why we need a resource center. Like that's what I want. Like I want to run a nonprofit that's like a resource center for the Black community, whether it's like resume writing, like skills, trades, like helping them with like child care options. I mean, like
they
self-esteem.
used to
Like
give
we
us
need
the
to
baby
get our
dolls and we used to have
community
to take
But
together.
this
home.
is there's always been programs available. But if your parent didn't teach you that those programs were available, you wasn't gonna know those programs are available. See, a lot of us, y'all can
Right.
say,
So
"Oh,
it's
my
so
parents
important.
did good, my parents did good," but a lot of our parents did a horrible fucking job. Like, let's be
But
Yeah,
you
they
can't
did.
real.
But
blame them for
Bare
what
minimum.
they
Hey,
don't
look,
know, though, because
they
it's
did
not
bare
that they did
minimum.
a horrible
right.
job. They're only accountable for what they know. And see, this is the thing right here. When we say that people who determines who is a horrible parent, because we be speaking from different experiences,
But
Yes, that's
right?
true.
Because
but
like
to
I was just
me,
telling her, we speaking
society
from
tells
knowledge
you
we
what's a
have
good
today,
parent or
right
not.
now. 20 years ago, our knowledge was not the same. So like what you've learned now today in your mindset, 20 years ago, you'd have been pushing college like everybody else was.
I don't.
You
But
see
see,
what I'm
that's the
saying?
thing, though.
20
I don't
years
agree
ago,
with that. I
we
don't
don't,
agree
because
with
we
that.
don't
But see,
know.
the difference back then is all the knowledge that's available on the internet was available in books. People didn't want to read. People didn't want to read. If you want to read, you'd have figured out all the
Hey,
knowledge. All the knowledge
you know
that
what
you
they used to
finding
say?
out
Look,
right
look,
now
look.
online,
I'm not
all the
saying that it's
knowledge
not
you finding
knowledge
out right now
Hey,
reading,
you
on
know what they used to
Google,
say about
but
black
but
people,
if
it
bro?
was in
you
the books.
if you
Look,
don't,
look. If
and
you
I
on the highest
understand
level of
that,
a
but
black
if you
person,
don't
put
know
that shit
what
in the
you're looking
book.
for,
Oh,
how
y'all
you
can
know
hear it
what
because
to
both y'all
read?
talking at the
How
same
you don't
time.
know to go to the library? How you don't know to go to the
If
library and
you
figure
don't
out
know
I'm gonna
what
read
you're
these books?
looking
See, it
for,
start with the home. See, the home. It start
you're
with the
not
home.
listening.
See,
If you don't, if what
my
I'm
mama pushed the library. You know what I'm saying? She pushed the library. Go read some books. Go read. Go read.
you
Go
should,
read.
I
Like
concur.
you
I'm a
gotta
reader.
all the information that was available on the internet right now was available.
people still need to advertise it because it's a lot of stuff that
if you don't know what you're looking
it's
for,
not advertised or if it's not put at the forefront of these people's
how you
minds,
know what to go
it's
read?
not going to be on their mind.
The only problem I can say that we didn't get when we were in school that they should have taught us was financial literacy, like the girl just commented. We didn't learn about credit. We didn't learn about all that. See, they teaching kids that now. We
You
didn't
know
learn
what?
about all that.
No, we
But
didn't
this is
learn
what
about
this
that in
why
the
I-
black
this why I
community
gotta
because
agree
I
with
learned
Mika.
about
This
it.
why I gotta
In
agree with
Carlisle
Mika.
School District, I learned about it.
Hold on,
But this
y'all,
why I
because
gotta agree
y'all
with
both keep talking at the same time.
But this is why I agree with Mika and Shelly at. Because I keep talking about the information age. We're living in the information age. Now we're in if you know better, it's online for you to get the information now. Now if you ignore it, it's on you. But growing up in Tulsa, poor as hell, we didn't really have, even though there was many options out there, we didn't have many options that were in front of us.
Right.
Bro, you had a lot of fucking options.
Nah, man.
I'm from Tulsa just like you. I'm from Tulsa just like you.
Things are
Listen.
put in the mainstream for a reason. They know what agenda they pushing. There's a reason why
there's a library in every neighborhood. There's a library in every single neighborhood, regardless if it's the hood, regardless if it's a white suburban area, regardless if it's an average area. There's a library in every single neighborhood.
No. So you go to the library. We have Maxwell Library. But what I'm saying is, when you're in a poor household in the 90s and the early 2000s, when you didn't have access to the computers and the library is a mile and a half away and your parents don't have a car, how do you tell a child you're going to walk a mile and a half to the library? He's not doing that.
Bro, you walked a mile. Listen. You walked a mile. You walked a mile to hang out with your homies. I was riding bikes everywhere. Stop it, bro. That's not an excuse, bro. That's not an excuse.
Apples and oranges a little bit.
Bro, that's not an excuse, bro. You walked everywhere to hang out with your homies. Bro, my mama didn't know where I was half the time.
You most of the time walk next door to your friends in the neighborhood.
Listen, you say that you grew up
with your friends. We didn't. If we walked miles back in the days because we were on a mission. The most of the time as a youth, you played with your friends on the street, rode bikes up and down the street. Your mama said, "Hey, don't go around the corner where I can't see you. Make sure your ass back home by 9 o'clock." We weren't thinking about, "Hey, let's go a mile and a half down the street to the library."
I was a mile and a half away.
Me and my friends used to walk to the library.
A mile and a half?
I don't know how long it was because we was kids. We didn't know how to judge it then, but
when I was growing up, me and my little hood partners, and I grew up with Tracy Ellis. I grew up with some Turf Hog. I grew up with some of the most Tulsa prevalent hood people. We didn't have even though the library was there and available for us, most of the time our thought process as children, an undeveloped mind, wasn't thinking education unless our parents in our household were thinking education. My dad
that's why we go back to saying it starts with the home, bro.
Black woman. We didn't have access to that information really in front of us. Like she said, you got to advertise, you got to bring it to us for us to get it. Because my parents are fucking poor. When you think about reading books, look, when you're poor people are not thinking about reading books. They're poor.
They at work. They probably not even off to go to the library.
Bro, listen, that's bullshit.
Poor people, your mama didn't make you go to high school, make you do your homework. Your mama didn't make you do spelling bees. Your mama wasn't influenced at all in your educational life.
No, she said do it, but she didn't push it. She said make a choice.
That's what I'm saying. My parents weren't given most parents, like we're just telling Shelly, we're not talking about individual experiences. We're talking about the mass experiences. And the mass experiences in the projects, I'm talking about the poor black kids. Their parents are not talking about doing school. Their parents ain't worried about them going reading books. They ain't even reading books. They ain't seeing their mom and daddy doing nothing good, so they ain't gonna do nothing good. That's the fucking generational curse that we need to break. That's why I said we need to reinforce education amongst parents, because the more the parents know, then they can help their kids grow. But if you're a dumbass mama and a dumbass daddy, you're gonna have a dumbass baby.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think you can use the narrative if you were poor.
Oh no! When I say poor, I mean project mind. That's why, bro. My daddy was a full-fledged crackhead, and my mother was a paralyzed, uneducated woman. And that's why I use personal experience, but my personal experience is a lot of people's experiences in the hood. If you grew up in the poor Section 8, most of those Section 8 parents are not thinking about reading books. Because when you're in poverty, you're in survivor's mode. When you're in survivor's mode, you're not trying to educate yourself. Every day is about surviving. Every day is about trying to put the next foot in front of the next. You ain't thinking about, hey, let me sit down and read this book about financial literacy. Let me take my kid up to the library so they can do better. When you're poor, you can have the time because you really ain't got shit to do. But you ain't got the mindset to do it.
Yep.
But they may not even just be poor, because you assume that all poor people are not working.
No,
And this
I
is
didn't
where
say
this,
it wasn't
so
working
yeah,
because
well,
we
I'm
live in a
saying when we say
society
that they don't
now.
have nothing to do, they probably trying to work. You know what I'm saying? They're just not making that much.
That's
So
what I'm
they
saying.
have
You're
to
saying
piece
survivor's
together
mode,
jobs. They
and
may
that's
have to work
fine.
more than you do or anybody.
No, and
So
that's
we can't
fine. And
say
I
that.
love that. And I love that because my mother worked at Arby's until my daddy beat her until she was paralyzed. So I really I feel for people who are in that situation. I do. I promise you,
Yeah.
working your ass off to take care of bills and it's not a fucking enough.
Yeah.
I fucking empathize
That's
with those
hard.
people. But what I'm saying, those group of people they're not looking to read. They're not looking to educate themselves. They're
Yep.
really just
No, I
trying to.
agree with the fact that they're not going to the library, is Brother Ray said, because I'm like, I love how he holds them so accountable in a perfect world. Everybody go get educated, and I think that that's great advice for the masses to educate themselves. But realistically,
Yeah, it's not
that's not
logical
something that has
because most
happened, and
people
we
can't
really
take
can't
off.
stay on what has happened, because the thing is, it's already not happened. They already did not read or educate themselves. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They already
But this
didn't
is
go
what
read.
I'm saying. That's the problem.
We
That's
got
our
to
problem because
start,
child care costs so much.
yeah, the
The
scratch
single mother
plan.
can't let her. She don't got nobody watch her baby. You got to work from certain
And
time
what's
to
the
certain time. You
solution for
can't miss
that?
school.
But see,
There's
that's
Yeah,
the thing, bro. That's the difference between when we grew up in today's society, right? See, when I grew up and I played basketball, I didn't have to worry about getting no ride to practice. I didn't have to worry about getting no ride to the games, because then coaches and somebody's parent, like Mika said, it took a village, so they was gonna pick us up.
You
See
was good
now,
then. You was
these
good. Look,
kids,
look, my little short ass. I promise. I wish.
Oh,
Like, bro,
amen.
I really grew up in a poor. I grew up really poor, bro. I was abused, like one of those Lifetime movie network poors. That's how I grew up. No, so when it was a basketball game, my mother had to go literally on the street and ask people for money to buy my basketball shoes. I didn't have a ride
but see,
to
that's
the
what I'm saying.
games.
Back then, it was a person that was gonna buy those
No,
basketball
no,
shoes.
nigga, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for
I mean,
me.
that might be you, but you're not the masses, like you always
But
say.
no, the masses is saying
But
there's a
that's just
it's
lot of
saying
not the
that
poor
you
person
kids
that's
wasn't
wearing the
buying
good.
it.
same
See,
shoes
that's
to
the
school
thing.
every
That's saying
day.
that you
The
wasn't
masses
that.
say
Listen,
there's a lot of
listen,
poor
bro.
kids in the projects that don't got shit.
If you were good, if you were good,
But not
then the
everybody's
whole
good.
community was gonna come together and buy whatever the fuck you need.
But that's the problem.
You're assuming
Most
that
people,
too.
no matter if
Now,
you're black
somebody
or not, you're
may
not gonna
bless
be
the
good in
No,
kid
the
that
that's
may.
not the
sport.
you. What do you think? Do you think it is? Were you raised that? Because I know some successful people that came out of bad situations.
Nah, I don't think. Me personally, I come from a good household, and I done 15 years in prison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. When and we're talking about athletes. Them successful athletes come from poor back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't. I don't think. I don't think. As far you guys made some statements about you know uh, a father raising a kid, a mother's or whatnot. But I think a kid to see I say a struggling mother, when I say struggling, working 2, 3 jobs, going to college, and get just as much motivation, seeing her mom struggle and get her life together, get their life together, you know,
Mm-hmm.
than the fathers. I think really the mothers, and that's part of the problem though. But the mothers are really the role models now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
what
agree with that. I agree with that.
role models are, you know. Uh, but I've been sitting here thinking ever since Shelly said about, and I'm gonna figure out how to do this, man. I don't know where I start at, where I'm gonna start, but as far as adopting kids, you know, from school, you know what I mean?
Let's do it as collective, man. Let's. I went to put a couple hundred in, so whatever the case may be, let's do it.
That's kind of genius right there, man.
Let's
Yeah,
do
I
it.
agree
Let's
with
do it.
that.
School starts in a couple months. I think we got time to prepare for plan. And if we just
Mhm.
do one weekend where we invite some kids out from a certain school and do some activities with them, I think that'd be cool, man. That's dope. Because when she said that, it did spark my mind, like, cause we don't do that. Like, I go to school,
And
drop
you
my
know,
kids
and
off
you
at
know,
school all the time, and like I said, I be seeing these po ass project kids with the same shoes on every day, and me, selfish. My kids wear Jordans and different Jordans all the time. I don't say nothing but, hey, little dude, you good? I just tell my son, stay away from him.
and see,
Uh.
that's the thing, bro. I
And
agree
see,
with what you
even
said.
passing down clothes, because if your kid has a bigger foot, my son was always a big foot, but you know, like passing down clothes, that gently used clothes, because you know, sometimes these kids don't wear a lot of the nice stuff we buy them. They sit there, they grow out of it.
Man, I love hand-me-downs growing
Oh,
up,
see that?
man. Shit.
I agree with Shelly and I agree with Jay Nitty. You know what I'm saying? I agree with Don as well. I agree with Mika's topic. Like, you know, one thing with my son, I always tell him, like, you got a good life. You know, I tell him, like, you're blessed. You know what I'm saying? You don't really got to worry about nothing. So my son, I've never sold a shoe, period. I've never sold a shoe. After he got done wearing them, he couldn't fit them no more. Here, take this to one of your friends at the school, because I know they might not have them shoes. You know what I'm saying? Oh, your clothes got too small. Man, take that to one of your homies at the school. I take that to a kid that really needs it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know there are a lot of kids. Like, I invite kids over to my house. I make sure they have a good time. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot, like I tell my son all the time, like, these kids ain't, like Jay Nitty said, they not being raised with love. You know what I'm saying? So when I invite kids to my house, I make sure they have a great time. You know what I'm saying? I make sure they get to experience the things that they might not get to experience at home. Like I tell my son all the time, when them kids go home as they leave from my house, they going home, they gonna get beat. They going home, they don't know how they gonna eat. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta show your kids too how to love other kids. See, we can love our kids, but we gotta show our kids how to love other kids too.